What's up? What's up? All right. Well, Mr. Hotep, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, man. Cannot wait to get to see this amazing short film that I've been hearing about, man. I missed it the other night because I had a church, but here we are today, man. I cannot wait to dig into this. But in the meantime, maybe Hotep, you could give us a little bit of background of how we got to this point where you actually have an animated short film, man.
Yeah, so first of all, Tommy, thank you for having me on again. This your show is one of my favorites. It's such a well produced show,
I
and
appreciate
you ask some of the best questions that I get from people or from interviewers and podcasters. So thank you for the work that you do, and this is I'm sure a labor of love for you to take your time out to interview so many people and ask the questions that you do. So again, I just want to say thank you, salute to you.
Thank you, Hotep. Appreciate you, my friend.
So in regards to where we are now with Black Lion and Cubs, we are just over a year old now since its inception and its conception, and it's just a lot has been happening. um, and so we had the initial story with the initial heroes.
Mm-hmm.
We started building and developing some new heroes to add, and there were a lot of questions about the story. The anime. I have two seasons of the anime right now, and over this past year, a lot of people have been asking me several questions about the background of the heroes, the background of the story, the context of how everything got to be the way it is and where they are. And so I decided that I was going to have to make an origin story to kind of give that kind of context and give a little background to the lore of Black Lion and Cubs. The other reason is because, when I started the anime and the storyline, I purposefully started it kind of in the middle because, for me, I like to give myself enough room to build and grow and evolve, right? So I didn't want to start off, especially because this was my first anime, my first superhero story. I didn't want to commit to too much too soon. I wanted to leave enough room for mystery and the possibility of making some changes in my initial plans.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in my experience from writing other books and writing other stories that sometimes you intend for one thing, but as you put it out and hear comments and feedback from the audience and just get better at what you do, you start to realize that things don't end up the way you intended
Yeah.
them to be. That I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so after a year of Black Lion and Cubs and pushing the anime and all the other IP that I had developed, I decided it was time to tell the origin story. And so when I wrote the story and created it, it was just really the initial idea and plan was just to create a short little video, an animated video that I could share with people, and so they can have a better understanding of what Black Lion and Cubs is all about and the context of the story. But as
Yeah.
I started sharing it, the response that I got overwhelmingly was like, "Oh my God, Hotep, that's phenomenal! Like, did you write that?" Like, people were just really in awe of the story and the background and its implications. And so it was then that I said, "Well, man, you know, I didn't realize that people were so heavily into dystopian sci-fi futuristic stories, right?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of I watch all those movies myself, but I didn't know that, like, even as I was developing it, sharing the narration to get it edited or sharing the music, or even the writing of it and sharing some of the text, every time I shared it with somebody that would help me, assemble all the elements, it was just they were trying to get in on the action. Basically, they're always trying to, hey, how can I contribute? How can I be a part of it? And so in any case, it was that kind of response that I said, well, I need to do something bigger than just having a video on YouTube or on IG, and so that's when I decided to create and turn it into an official short film.
That's so amazing, man. Now, can you kind of talk about some of the partnerships and the work that went into creating the short film? Because obviously you must have a pretty amazing team that you're working with to be able to put this kind of quality together.
Yeah, so I do. I have some of the best artists in the world. Some of the best artists in the world that I work with. Shout out to all of my artists, and some of them, the ones that contributed to this, you'll see in the credits. I have an animation team. Shout out to them for the work that they do. They've been very diligent in helping me create that. Outside of the animation and the art, though, everything else is on me. You know what I'm saying? Well, no, and so animation, the art, and the music. Those are the three areas that I have other people contributing. And so I want to shout out all my producers, my animators, and my artists that helped me, that contributed to this masterpiece of a short story. But outside of that, the writing, the creation, the editing, the production, all of that is me. You know what I'm saying? Even not just the writing, but the narration as well. So I don't like to have too many people working on my projects because in my experience in the past, the more people you involve, the more loose ends you have, and the more you leave yourself open to people. The way I like to describe it, people taking your project hostage, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's too slow, like, and you're relying on them, you got to wait and sit back and just, and I've been in that place where I've been held hostage by people that, for whatever reason, didn't deliver on time. And so I've made it my business to learn how to edit, learn how to produce, learn how to write, learn how to narrate, and all those different things, so I can rely on as few people as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, team that you do have together seems to be pumping out some amazing stuff. Can you give us a little synopsis of what Black Lion and Cubs is for those who are kind of new to everything that you've created?
Yes, so Black Lion and Cubs is a family-friendly, you see it on the screen here, a family-friendly anime brand. It features the primary protagonists are Black Lion and his two sons, the Cubs. And so those are the main characters. So that's all I want to say right now until after they see the short, because after we play the short, then I'll be able to explain and expound more on it. But I don't want to preempt or give too much information now and then kind of mess up the storyline in the origin, But bottom line, it's a family-friendly anime brand. It features Black characters. It's very new. As I mentioned, it's family-friendly and appropriate. So because I'm a father and I have two young children in my house, I wanted to make sure that whatever I created was something that was not only something exciting for them, but then also something that was appropriate for them to watch. Something I didn't have to hide, cover their eyes or do some extra explaining about things that they may not be developmentally ready for. You see, so that's the reason why I decided to keep it that way. And plus, my main business is working in schools, so I wanted to make sure that I had something that I could share with the schools that I serve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then real quick, before we get into the video, man, I think what you have planned for this IP that you've created around Black Lion and Cubs is amazing, right? It's going in a lot of different directions. Obviously, we have the graphic novels. We're going to look at a short film, so animation. But can you also talk about video games, action figures? Like, you have this entire plan. So as people start to get invested, they know that as they're investing their time and money into this platform that you're creating, there's going to be a lot of different things that you will have to offer for those fans that jump in early.
Yeah. So, although I'm new to the anime space, I'm not new to the space of creation, right? I've been a creator of media content since the mid '90s. When I started as a musician and a hip hop artist. So I had a production company called Skinny Men Productions. That was my first company. You see the logo there. I started with Skinny Men Productions. That was my first attempt to not only get into the space of, producing music and albums, but also commerce. So to being an entrepreneur. So I learned how to sell cassettes out the trunk like Too Short did back then. And then went from cassettes really quickly to CDs and CDs to DVDs, because I quickly learned that music was cool, but another medium that was closely linked to music was music videos, right? And so I was one of the few people in Atlanta that had a highly produced music video to go along with my music. And so, and anyone can challenge me on this. I believe my production company had the first uh, CD DVD release of an album, right? So, and that was back in 2002, 2003. So I say all that to say that um, I started in the music, went from music to film. I produced a documentary back in early 2005. From that documentary, I wrote a book, and so since then, I've been just creating several different types of media properties that that allow me to express my creative ideas. You see what I'm saying? And so fast forward to now, because I've been involved in so many different formats of media production. When I decided to create Black Lion and Cubs, I said, well, the immediate plan was not just to have an anime. I wanted to start with anime because it kind of put me in a space different from many other people. But then I also decided I was going to have video games. So we have 2 seasons of the anime, the cartoon produced. We have 3 video games. We have the audio, the album / audio book, if you will. We have the graphic novels. I think the graphic novels were just delivered today. They were delivered to my to the wrong address though. So
Oh
we're
no.
gonna have to, we got to handle that. I just found that out today.
Always
So
something, right?
always something, man. But yeah, so we have the graphic novels, the video games. We have, man, there's so much more that I'm probably forgetting right now. But the bottom line is, you know, the concept is creating a full multimedia experience, multi-sensory experience
Right.
for viewers. So you can view it, you can listen to it, you can read it, you can watch it, and soon you'll be able to experience it on the big screen.
Yeah, exactly. Very soon, it looks like, man.
Hmm.
So I think you like I've been to the website. Obviously, you have the graphic novels on there, you have the video games, but you even have a clothing line for this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
t-shirts and all kinds of stuff,
oh, that's
man.
right. I forgot about. So, uh, it was just, I come from the hip hop culture, and
Yeah,
so, you know, as hip hop grew up and developed and got into commerce, so did all of us that were involved in it. So, again, having T-shirts was just something we did from the music industry. Having a T-shirt, having clothing, because FUBU hit,
yeah,
and so everybody had their clothing line. So it was only second nature for me to have T-shirts like you see here, but then
yeah,
even expand even bigger. So I have a Black Lion and Cubs jackets. We even have the sneakers. What I'm saying, that we just put out. Shout out to Candace for
yeah,
the development, the design of those sneakers. So, and then we call them the masterpiece,
yeah.
SPEACE. You understand? Yeah. So the masterpiece shoes.
Hotep shoes, man.
There you go. Peace. There you go. You got it, my brother. And so yeah, I forgot. See, there's so much that we've developed
Yeah.
over this year that sometimes I forget what we have, and so that's why I always encourage people to go to our IG, Black Lion and Cubs, just to see everything that I'm saying that can be all verified.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why I think it's important to kind of share all the different areas that you've gone into from an entertainment standpoint. Because
Mm,
as people get invested in the story and they want more, you already have so much going on that will capture people for quite a while. Whereas, if you're going to a Kickstarter and you're getting one issue, you might have to wait a while for that second issue. Right out of the
mm.
gate, man, what do you have? 3 issues, 3 graphic novels, if I'm not mistaken.
I
You got
do.
2 video games. You got 2 seasons of an animated series. You got a clothing line. You got shoes. You
Yeah.
like, dude, it's incredible. And I don't know if you're to the point where you've started the action figure, but I know that you had talked about eventually having some action figures as well. So, like, if you're a family with young children, even though this is an all ages story, you have a story that as a parent, you feel like, okay, this is something that I can entrust for my kids to be able to read. And you have all these different properties to keep them locked in for so long, man. I love it, man.
Yeah, you just reminded me of a few other things. So I also have a
Please.
reading book. I
Yeah.
have an activity book. I have collector cards.
Yeah.
I have family discussion cards for Black Lion and Cubs. So Yeah, that's just some more. You know, it's I I like to utilize my journey and you know what I've accomplished in this year to as a source of inspiration for
Yeah.
other people. Not even just inspiration, but also um, as an example to other people of what they can do, the possibilities for them. Because I'm not from, you know, I'm not a, you know, I'm not really in the anime comic book world like
Right.
some of my colleagues. I don't know how they do things in that industry, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not part of that industry.
Right.
So what I bring to the industry is a wealth of knowledge and experience from several other industries. And so what people are seeing is you know, what they're seeing is uh, the movements of someone thinking outside of from outside of the box, who
Right.
thinks outside of the box, that's applying the lessons and the best practices of other industries into this space of comics and comic and manga, anime, cartoon creation.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's incredible the work that has gone into this. It seems like you've been at it for like 30 years with everything that you've accomplished in a
Yeah,
short time.
yeah.
But absolutely beautiful. And as a as a parent who has four children, they're all older and adults now. This is the exact type of stuff when they were younger that I was looking for. That way, it's something that I can enjoy with my kids. I would enjoy it, but also I know they would enjoy it, and
Mm,
that it has stories that bring meaning and lessons of courage and bravery and
yes, yes.
family and like all these important things as a parent that you want to get across to your children as important items that they should hold on to. I feel awesome, man. That's I know you, Hotep, and that you're bringing this together, man. It's incredible.
Let me see if I can cut on this light here real quick. Hold on a
Yeah, yeah,
second,
please.
because it's a little dark over there. Let's see
All
if
good,
that
my friend. All
helps.
good.
I don't know if that helps. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All good, my friend. All good. There you go. But yeah, man, if we want
that's
to
good.
jump in, man, you want to pull that up and then see what we could do as far as getting this video going, my friend?
Yes, yes. So, just a quick introduction,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen. At this point, what I'm very excited about introducing to all of you, is a screening of "How the World Began," the origin story for Black Lion and Cubs. It's a short film. It's only right about 5-6 minutes long, but I'm very excited about the response and the continued response that I've been getting to it. Thus far, it's been receiving comparisons to The Matrix, to Mad Max, and The Terminator. So, you know, I know I'm in good company anytime somebody references The Terminator and Mad Max in particular, because, you know, those are my days in the 80s. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
in any case, you know, I'll let you guys make the determination. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up in just a second, okay?
Yeah, no problem. Take your time, Hotep.
All
Make
right.
sure we did test it, so we should be in good shape.
We should be in good shape.
But you know
Here
how
we go.
technology is, my friend.
Yes, sir. All right, let's see. I'm gonna share entire screen. All right, can you see it?
Not yet. Oh, here we go.
Good to
Boom.
go?
You are good to go, my friend.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. How the world began.
In a future much closer than most think, the event long predicted by top scientists occurred. The world ended. Yes, mankind's insatiable appetite to create, replicate, and improve life ironically led to his own demise. But different than most anticipated, artificial intelligence and other forms of future tech did not take over for long. Within a few short decades, after humans retreated to the deepest caves and most remote areas across the planet, the ultra-advanced technology suddenly imploded. It seems the intelligence we invented was unwittingly programmed with the same faulty logic as its creator, and therefore befell an identical tragic outcome: self-destruction. As a result of their inability to rely on technology, mankind was forced to look at themselves for the answers. A small, esoteric group of people began to rise to power. They represented a fraction of 1% of every population who can access much higher percentages of the brain's function. Over time, these people began to display abilities once considered to be magic, myth, and fiction: telekinesis, telepathy, mind reading, energy manipulation, levitation, teleportation, all became commonplace among them. It was through their example that humanity relearned the wisdom once known by the highest civilizations of the ancient world. True power comes from within. These new leaders were called lumineers, engineers of light. Together, they built a new world underground. This new world societies formed caste systems based on an individual's powers of luminescence. Those with the highest abilities ruled. Those with the lowest became slaves. That was the way of what became known as the ancient New World. Since it required a specialized knowledge and mental capacity to luminesce, education became the most prized commodity. Therefore, education was reserved for the rich or royal few so they could maintain power in what was considered a harmonious balance of order. In this ancient new world, all machines and every form of artificial intelligence had become outlawed because these were the tools of the desperate, uneducated poor attempting to mimic the power of luminescence. Anything that could not be fashioned by hand or manifested by the mind became obsolete. Eventually, humans ascended from the caves and converged around the world's ancient ruins, the only places built strong enough to withstand the scorched earth. The most intact structures were those surrounding the Great Pyramids of ancient Nubia and Egypt, which is where the most powerful nations of the ancient New World formed. All civilians were given the option to live within the predetermined social strata or leave to build their own kingdoms. Some stayed, many left. Unfortunately, the lower nature of the least educated and therefore less able people led to jealousy, envy, and greed. It wasn't long before they started developing weapons and building armies. Soon, humanity was once again at war with itself. It is in this futuristic, dystopian world that we begin our story.
All right. Hold on, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I put
There.
myself on mute so that way no
Yeah.
noises were being made during the video, man. But that was dope, man.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank
dope.
you.
Yes, yes. All right. So some of the questions I was asking before, maybe you could go into a little bit more detail now that we have the video as a backdrop. If you could kind of walk us through a little bit of the storyline and what people could expect from the story, that would be amazing.
So, part of what I needed to explain was where Black Lion Cubs were. Right now, you see the symbols on their foreheads, and when you hear the story of Black Lions being a Nubian warlord, a former Nubian warlord who's committed his life to peace, that's why he's always holding the peace sign. The question is, well, when in the world was this happening? Because you see them with the ancient Egyptian symbols, and so the first question was, is this happening in ancient Egypt? And so I wanted to explain that although you see the ancient Egyptian symbolism, this is actually a story taking place in the future, in what's known as the ancient New World. And so the story part of what I wanted to explain with this origin story is that um, the world in the future looks very much like the world thousands of years ago, because humanity over time has destroyed itself to the extent that none of the skyscrapers and all those things were able to withstand some of the wars and the blast, the nuclear, atomic, and whatever kind of blast occurred. And what was left was some of the structures that ancient people had built, and some of the ancient people around the world, not just in Africa, but as you saw, Stonehenge and some of the other structures around the world. So the idea in this context of Black Lion and Cubs is that there was once a time many years ago when humanity was at its height, and at the time humanity was at its height, there was knowledge known to human beings way beyond what we know today, and that knowledge was known because of our ability to utilize higher percentages of the brain. Right now, the average human being, even the smartest of us, uses less than 12-15% of our mind. And so you can imagine, wow, if even the most genius people that we've heard of, right, even the most genius people are only operating at 15% capacity, imagine how much knowledge is out there, how much is there to know for us as human beings. And so the whole point here in our story is to say that human beings once knew this information. That's the reason why we were able to build things like the pyramids and such. And part of the reason why we're not able to duplicate and replicate these items is because for whatever reason we've lost this knowledge. And part of that reason why we've lost that knowledge is because of our reliance on artificial intelligence, on things like virtual reality. And so our reliance on technology actually is part of the story of our undoing as human beings. And so that's the reason why you hear in the story the idea that the reliance on technology was only for people that did not know how to be the highest form of a human being. So they it's like a handicap, like AI and virtual reality are just like crutches for people that are like I said, handicapped in such a way. In this case, not physically handicapped, but mentally handicapped. And so we use artificial intelligence because it enables us to do certain things that we really should be doing with our mind naturally and have the power to do actually. So that's really where the story takes place, and part of the idea that ultimately remembering that true power comes from within. That's a common theme throughout Black Lion and Cubs. It's part of what Black Lion is constantly trying to teach his children, right? That power doesn't come from outside sources, and strength doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within you. Let me show you. Let me guide you. Let me help you access your true nature. And they use the symbolism of the ancient structure, ancient construct of ma'at, of justice, and of righteousness to help focus their energies and powers.
Yeah. A little scary, man, because I feel like there's a lot of truth to some of the things we're reverting back to that you would think as a human that we would move past, right? Because we're constantly gaining knowledge. We know the cause and effect of so many negative things that take place. Yet human nature, unfortunately, sometimes reverts back to some of the things that we thought we learned lessons on. And then to this point, right, it pushes us all the way back to, thousands of years ago, even though we're in the future. That kind of living, right, to lose everything that we gain because of that kind of evil part of our humanity is something else, man.
Yeah, and so part of what people were really attracted to the story is the questioning of even what you mentioned, human nature. What is human nature? What is really truly natural to us as human beings? Or have we been sold an idea or a vision of human nature that may not necessarily be true? So, for example, some people believe that as human beings, we're sinful by nature, right?
Mhm.
There's another way to look at that, right? And so other people believe that we are godly by nature, right? And so the question is, which story do you tell yourself? Which story do you repeat? Which story is in your consciousness or even your subconsciousness? Do you believe and buy into the idea that as human beings we're sinful by nature, or do you believe we're godly by nature? And those of us that have bought into the different stories operate differently as a result of that belief system.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like the point that you brought up of really kind of dialing into that greatness that is within to draw that out. I think that is amazing, right? Because there's an element, I believe, truly, no matter what your background is, where you're from, there's an element of greatness within everybody. And surrounding yourself by the right people that draw that greatness out of you, I think is key to getting the best out of humanity. And so here you have a father and you have two sons, and he's able to see that greatness and be able to draw that out as a power. I think that is awesome, man. And I think it's something as a society we could strive to do for one another.
That's my hope, big brother. Because as I mentioned in a previous post, I really believe in the power of humanity. I really believe that human beings are more powerful than they even most of us really know. And when we start seeking that power, when we start tapping into that power, we can accomplish amazing things, my brother. Accomplish amazing things. Yeah.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And that's, like you said, that gives us hope. Because
Yes.
that is something that does exist in humanity. And if we could just create the right environment where that could come forward, man, things I think would be a lot different than they are today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So here we have this short film. What's the idea to do? Are you going to add on to this, or is this kind of like the door that opens up the rest of the universe for you?
Yeah. So that's really the latter that you mentioned. It's really a door that's opening up to so many other opportunities, right? So the whole concept of the Luminaires, for example, right? Who are these original Luminaires? The storyline could be built around those original Luminaires. What happened to the people so Black Lion and Cubs follows the storyline of the people that stayed in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Well, particularly in North Africa. But the question is, well, what about the people that decided to leave and build their own kingdoms? What's their storyline? Who are those people? And so there's so many implications or ways that we can tell that story. So it actually now makes the story of Black Lion and Cubs a lot smaller than it really is, because now you say, well, that's one pathway. What's the pathway for the people that went to Europe? What's the pathway for the people that crossed the Atlantic and went over to South Africa, South America, right? What about the people that went to Asia? What did those people build? Who rose to power during that time, and what did they do? So so really it creates a lot of opportunity for us, and that's the reason why the short film has really been taking off, and ultimately why we're looking to shop it to Hollywood and other opportunities to have further production being done.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely beautiful, Hotep, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your entire team for being
Thank you.
able to put all that together, man. You're doing things a lot of independent creators, that's kind of their dream to get to, man, but you're not messing around, man.
I'm not
You've been able
playing.
to accomplish a lot in a short period of time, my friend.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm not here to play. I'm here to win. You
Yeah, yeah.
understand? I'm not here to play. I'm winning. I'm here to win. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful to you and everybody else that's taking the time to give us the opportunity to share this with the world. I'm about a month away from a huge event in Vegas in May, where it's going to be transformative for the brand of Black Lion and Cubs. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you and everybody else, my experience in Vegas for that. So stay tuned, my brother. Stay tuned.
I love it, man. You know, you're always welcome, man. We'll blast out all that great news, man.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, real quick, where can people find you? How do they learn more? I know we talked a little bit about the beginning, but if you could kind of run us through what is the best way to get the most out of Black Lion and Cubs?
So the best way, one, if you want to know and be updated on the most recent and most current events for Black Lion and Cubs, follow us on Instagram at Black Lion and Cubs, as you see under my name here. If you want to know our official website, blacklionandcubs.com. If you want to watch the anime, that is only available on Black Education Station. It's a streaming service and a network just like Disney, just like Hulu and the rest of them. However, it's centered around the education of children ages 0 to 10. And I wanted to be a supporter of what they were doing. So that's why it's exclusive to Black Education Station. It's an app that operates just like the rest of them. It's not YouTube. It's not, it's not IG. It's its own network, if you will. No advertising, no violence, no bad language, nothing inappropriate and questionable for our young people. It's 100% appropriate for the development of young minds, and that's why I stand behind it. And that's at Black Education Station.
Black Education Station. Awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And then follow you, right? Everything's just at Black Lion and Cubs on Instagram, everywhere, right? TikTok, X, all of it.
Everything's Black Lion and Cubs. I keep it consistent.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, Hotep, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you allowing the channel to be able to share how the world began, man. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, my brother. I'm looking forward to sharing with you the success and what happens as a result of this. So stay tuned again. All right.
Yes. And for all of you that stopped by to check this out, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I don't know what's going on with the comments, but I see about 15 of you still on. I appreciate it. But we're simulcasting this to YouTube, X, and Instagram, so that way as many people can see it as possible. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Go follow Black Lion and Cubs. Hotep is doing amazing things. If you got a family specifically, this is the type of content that we want in our household. So Hotep, thank you so much. Wish you the very best, my friend.
Thank you, my brother. Again, same to you, and salute to you for all the work that you're doing and your commitment to seeing it through.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Peace. Hotep.
My brother.
Love it, man.